This episode of Breakthrough Success is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is your business command center. The easy-to-use app powers your sales, operations, and customer service all in one place. Go check them out at getjobber.com/im/breakthrough to receive 20% off your first 6 months. What's up, Breakthrough Success listeners? Marc Guberti, the podcast and coach here, helping people launch, grow, monetize their podcast. And with business, with life, there's just so many different things coming at us. I mean, so quick. And the way that we get the important stuff done is through priority management, because with all these different things coming at us, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to be doing something that we think is important, that only to realize that it's not moving the needle at all for us. So how do we really focus in on our priorities and what those are? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. The guest who joins us today, she's an international speaker, top-selling author, coach, and podcast host. She is the founder of Kinetic Spark Consulting, Black Fox Investments, and Valor Home Solutions. She is the author of Launch, How to Take Your Business to New Heights, and she is also the host of the first mortgage-specific and top-rated podcast, Stop Talking, Take Actions, Get Results. Our guest for this episode of Breakthrough Success is none other than Jen du Plessis. Jen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. I am so excited and so honored to be here, and I cannot wait to share as much as I possibly can in the time we have together.
Jen, I'm so happy to have you on Breakthrough Success. And I feel like this is an important topic because when it comes to life, I mean, like some people listening to this, they may have a 9-to-5, they may have a family, they may have the side hustle and all these different things that are happening. So, I mean, it's easy to think you're doing something productive. Like if you're responding to emails for 3 hours in a day, you may feel productive. Some cases that is productive, but most of the times it's taking you away from the real money, like responding to emails. That's other people's to-do list that they have for you on their list instead of something you should always be doing, just as one example. So I'm wondering if you could share with us, like, I mean, on this topic of priority management, just like first a little intro on you, but then how can we get clear on what our priorities are?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. Yeah, I think that we all have variety of breakthroughs that we have in our lives, throughout our lives. And for me, just to step back just a little bit, my breakthrough was one day when I was supposed to be at dinner with my family. I was outside of the restaurant talking to a client, and I looked in the window and saw my family creating memories without me. And I realized that my priority was business, not my family, right? In my case. And that had happened several thousands of times, right? But it wasn't going to happen again. And for me, that was the major breakthrough. And so to kind of step back into who I was at that time, I transitioned from a 35-year career in mortgage lending a year and a half ago. And I was top in the country and, just chasing the money and chasing the glory of that. And and I think that that's what we do as entrepreneurs and professional salespeople, right, is we're trying to chase the almighty dollar and get that success, but we sacrifice so much of our lives, and our health and our relationships in trying to do that. And I said, I don't believe in balance, because to me, balance is 50-50. You're balanced. Yeah. You're 50% here and 50% there. You're not really present anywhere. And so I said, you know what, this has to change. And that's when I really, really started working on creating a lifestyle first and then building a business, a successful business around it, and have built 4 successful businesses that I run, right? Building that around it instead of building a business and then trying to squeeze your family in. And so it really starts there, at least with the story, right? And why this is such a passion for me.
And I really love that story because, I mean, you saw something that was happening. You knew this was not the way you wanted to live, and you made changes. And you hit on the work-life balance. I feel like that is such a misunderstood topic where, I mean, you hit it on the head. Like a lot of people think it's 50-50 work, 4 hours and 4 hours life. And it's more of it's a little more volatile than that. Like you've got some days where it's all work, some days where it's all life, like New Media Summit where we met. That's 3 days of like all work.
Yeah.
And then like maybe after a big conference, big event like that, you go home and like you just hang out with your family and all those people for like the weekend, and you go back to something not quite 50-50, but it's different for different people. And I feel like when people think work life, like there is this and with your initial story, like I definitely saw this, like there is this clash
Yeah.
between family and business where
Mhm.
you've got the client to call, you got to leave the restaurant. Do you abandon that client and then you feel bad about it, or maybe like a few like later the person leaves and then you're not making that extra money, or like so like
Yeah.
it's like this clash, and I don't feel comfortable thinking about it. So how can we like get that
Yeah.
clash out of our livelihoods?
Yeah. I think it's a mindset. I mean, that's kind of where it starts. So I'm going to sort of step back. The whole premise of my life is that a life with values adds value everywhere in your life, right? And so I start with my 3 core values, and of course we all have multitude of values. Hopefully everyone listening has core values. And if someone came up to you today and said, what are your core values? Hopefully you don't go, I don't know, family, maybe, I don't know what's next, that you've actually identified them. And all of my decisions are made based on those core values. And it's allowed me to be able to make faster decisions, better decisions for myself and for my businesses. And so I think it starts there with the core values and really holding true and creating those boundaries around it. The second part of that is really asking yourself, am I in demand or on demand?
Hmm.
And most of us live on demand, and we become everybody's beck and call girl and call boy, right? The client calls and we answer the phone. The client needs us and we answer that, and we really, kind of dust everybody else under the carpet. And, again, if you have your core values in play, you're able to make that decision a little bit, a lot faster, and really create those boundaries. So what I did is say, when a client calls, if I answer that call, now I'm on demand and I'm not true to my values, which is my family and spending time with my family, or whatever your values are. And that client, I may lose that client, but I will gain more clients in another area, because it creates a reputation of being in demand, and people will wait for you when they know that you're in demand. And but you won't lose as many people. And I think it's just a product of us being cats on a marble floor in oil when we're first entrepreneurs, and we set that tone, and it's really hard to break it after we've set it. But I really feel that it's about setting boundaries for yourself, and boundaries and expectations for your clients as well.
Yeah, I mean, the really great points there. I mean, like for me personally, I will never pick up the phone if it's just some random person calling me, because
Mm-hmm.
that number could be a client and then I'm in a conversation. I mean, like I'm very clear, like, for my coaching, 2 30-minute calls, 300 a month, that's my starting price. But it's like, if you call me an extra time, like the payment has to be done, and we have to schedule calls in advance so I know when these calls are happening. Like there's never like one of my clients, like there's no like some coaching clients, like they do this for like other coaches, like they have what they call a 911 call,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
let's say like I could call you, we'll do a
Mm-hmm.
10-minute quick chat, and that's something that they include. I feel like some people, like, if you have that level of like, okay, like I prioritize business, maybe not over my family, but I could do that, then yeah. But you definitely want to be careful, because if you put yourself on demand for that person to pick up whatever you want, then I mean, like it could be like at the restaurant, like in Jen's example, it could be at the
Mm-hmm.
kids' soccer game, it could be, and like these things you may be thinking like, oh, like this doesn't affect me, but I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like, if you do it now, you're going to do it later, and you're going to keep doing it, and you keep doing it, it's going to bite you someday. So
Yeah, so better to learn from my 35
yeah.
years of mistakes, right? And condense it into a shorter period. And, I think that the key here is that where are you present when that happens? You're certainly not with your family, in my example. You're certainly not with your client, because you're sort of listening to them. You're not taking notes, right? You're not sitting in front of them. You're not really listening to them, because you're kind of eyeballing what's going on in your family, and you got to get back there, and you're feeling stressed and pressure, right? So you're not really listening to your client, and the odds are that you're probably going to have to call your client back and say, hey, so I forgot to write that down, or let me ask this question again. Or the client says to you, I already discussed this with you, right? And that's going to make your client experience be horrible, and you're going to lose the client anyway. So, but then more importantly is you're not serving yourself, because your mind is shifting. You're constantly shifting, and you're not present to that situation. And I'd rather say to a client that calls, and I know this is a fussy client or needs a hand holding kind of client, to say, hey, listen, I answered the call, but I'm about ready to walk into a meeting right now. Can I call you back tomorrow between 3 and 5 when I'm in front of my computer and I can dedicate 100% of my time and attention to serving you? And I've never had someone say, no, I don't want you to dedicate 100% of your time and attention to serving me. I want you to be distracted. Right. And we also, say we're afraid to say that we're with our family. So just say it's an appointment. I have an appointment with myself. Maybe I'm getting a massage. Right? I have an appointment. And that then trickles that down that, you know what, you aren't an on-demand person. You're an in-demand type of person. Even if you don't have an appointment, it sets a tone that says, hey, maybe she's busy. Maybe he's a busy person. This is good. I'm working with someone who really gets things done.
And it definitely changes the dynamic of the relationship. Like, I feel like if you're like on demand, then, a client can kind of take advantage of you and say like, okay, you know what? I've got this issue. You always answer the phone. I'm just going to call you. We're going to figure it out together. You're going to be there. But if you're a little more rigid and you say, you got to go through my calendar on Acuity because this is how we made this interview happen. It's not like Jen just called me up and I was like, Jen, what's up?
Let's start talking.
We scheduled this. So,
right.
I mean, Sue, it is good to treat your clients with respect when you're with them. And we'll talk about that like a little bit. But I mean, like, the focus, I feel like, is really on this in-demand versus on-demand. And I think when you have this on-demand mentality, I think it's just a bit of a desperation, because if you're someone who, let's say, is doing really well financially and you've got a ton of streams of income, like, you don't feel as desperate. You still want to give like 100%, but you don't feel as desperate. So how can we, like, regardless of where we are financially, let go of this sense of desperateness? Because I feel like that's what turns people into the on-demand instead of the in-demand.
Yeah, no question about it. And, again, if you're not in a financial situation where you are in a desperate place, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago, if you start this habit is it's a sticky habit to break with your clients. So the sooner that you can act as if you have already, they always say is, dress for the job you want, act like, you already own a gazillion homes, that kind of thing. It's the same thing. Act as if you're already successful, and you will automatically become successful in it, because people will think that you are someone who's very in demand and they want to be drawn to that. It's a FOMO, right? It's a fear of missing out, of being around someone who's successful. Nobody wants to be around someone who's just scraping and clawing and, bugging people. So I think that is, a key aspect there. But I forgot your question.
Just like getting rid of that desperateness and really be able to be a little bit more confident.
Yeah. So let me get back to the values again, right? Because, it's, and values are a hard word. Core values for me, I've found that it's a very difficult word for people, because they're like, I don't really know what my core values are. So let me just back that up and say, what fulfills you? What absolutely fulfills you? And I'm sure all of us have been out to dinner with friends and said, we have to do this more often. This was fun. And then we don't. Right. And so if watching an ant carry food fulfills you, then how do we get more of that for you? Right. And how do we get more of those situations where you're with your kids or with your spouse, or getting a massage or working out, all of those things? And what we want to do is we want to heighten the awareness of what fulfills us, make sure that that's blocked into our schedule, and then build our business around it, rather than building that business and then trying to squeeze our life into it.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a lot of time to create a successful business, you become extremely focused and extremely intentional. When you do have all the time and you think, I'm just going to work like a dog and I'm going to work be on demand, work 70 hours because that's what's expected, time will ooze and you will do activities for the sake of activities. And it'll feel like eating soup with a fork, right? You're not fulfilled. So to change that tune, it's recognizing what's important in your life first and then build the business around it given the time that you have. And we all know right before we go on vacation, we are very, very intentional and things get done. I want to go on vacation every day. Every day. I'm going to get in, do what I need to do, and do what I love to do. And so my work is very, very focused and intentional.
Coming up on this episode of Breakthrough Success, we're going to talk about scheduling, all the different things we have to do so we can balance all the time we have to do for our work and make sure we live a life outside of work as well. But first, we have the Jobber Minute, and people like to ask, how will Jobber benefit me and my business? Well, the entire purpose of Jobber is to help home service businesses succeed. Their software is designed to help owners like yourself cut down on operational stuff like invoicing, scheduling, and reporting by creating helpful tools that do these things for you faster and easier. So this will allow you to spend more time focusing on other areas of your business, such as marketing, employee training, and the services that you provide. You can customize your platform to meet your specific business needs and share it with everyone on your team so no communication goes unmissed. Your customers can even check appointments, review invoices, and make payments through Jobber's Client Hub, making it easier for them too. And we all know happy customers equals more positive reviews and referrals, which means more money into your pocket. That's some of the ways that Jobber is helping businesses all around the world. And if you guys want more information plus a really awesome discount, feel free to head over to getjobber.com/im/breakthrough to find out more about their features and services. Anyway, let's get right back into the episode. And when it comes to scheduling stuff, like you could just pick certain days of the week where you say, like Thursday, that's where I do all my interviews. Right. There's some like special exceptions. I sometimes pick, but for the most part, it's just Thursdays. Coaching for the most part, is just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like this is obviously when I get out of school because I have class Tuesday, Wednesday. Like I can't rush out of a class to take a coaching call or something like that. But it's important for you, like as Jen like prioritized her family, and then she worked the clients around the family. And this isn't like putting the clients in like second place or saying you're not as important. It's more of like, I'm going to talk with you anyway. I'm going to provide value to you and get the job done anyway. But I want to do it in a way where I don't feel like I'm trapped. I don't feel like I'm not doing the things that I truly want to be doing with my life or building the
I have a life, right? I have a life, but I also want to serve my client very well. And listen, my practice was, we generated over $1 million in revenue every single year for 20 years. Obviously, I took care of my clients, but I took care of them after I took care of me and my family, and because you can't have any sustainability, you will run out, and nowadays it's like glorification of busyness. And I just feel so sad for people, that it's a competition. You're like, I'm more busy than you are, and I'm more busy. But having been in lending for so long, I would see the financials of those people in my community who were busy, right? Movers, shakers. Their financials weren't good. They were just movers and shakers, and it was the glorification of it. And, that's not what I'm trying to focus, for my clients that I coach, right? Is I want them to take a breath. I want them to slow down to speed up rather than speeding up to slow down. Speeding up to have a heart attack like my husband did. He had 3 heart attacks in 2 months, 6 years ago. And it was from speeding up. And then your body says, that's it. I can't take it anymore. Or you speed up and your spouse says, I'm done. I want a divorce. Right? Or you speed up and all of a sudden your kids are older and they're not, that old song, about cats in the cradle, right? It drives me crazy because then the son didn't have time for the father. And it's just really sad when we have the wherewithal to be able to have very successful businesses if we are extremely intentional about our daily activities.
Yeah, that's really deep stuff. I mean, I definitely relate to, slow down to speed up to slow down. We're just going to take a moment for that really to grasp in because, like, I know we're flipping words around, and when you flip words around, sometimes you get something really good like that. But I mean, like, just the thought of it, like, if you slow down, you pause, you could think about more of the processes and systems, like, what are you actually doing? Like, how are you actually using your time? But if you speed up, you're like a hamster on the hamster wheel. And if you're either going to fall off the hamster wheel or you're going to trip on the hamster wheel at some point. So
yeah, absolutely. And it happens all the time, and I wanted to talk about the way that you were talking about your time blocking. So I, obviously do the same thing. And I do call it priority management because we can't block time, or we can't, we all know that, right? So, but we can manage our priorities. And so I do something very similar. Wednesdays are my coaching days, and Tuesdays are my podcast days that I do podcasting. And, the key to this, and I want to make sure that this point that you brought up is not lost, which is that you're doing like-minded activities at the same time, and you're not task switching. So when you're interviewing somebody on a podcast, your mindset is the interview process and curiosity and the mode that you're in. And you can very quickly download your podcast. You can very quickly save it, pass it along to whomever you need to. And when you're coaching, you're in that mode. For me, I'm in Trello, right, during coaching, and I'm taking copious notes on, the coaching. If I'm in Trello and then I'm trying to get on a podcast, and I'm back to Trello, and then I'm looking at emails, this is why they call it a laundry list of things to do, right? Because when you think about doing laundry, you pull the laundry out of the dryer, it's just a big mess, right? It's a big mess. And what we do is we fold things and we compartmentalize, and we fold all the socks together and all the pants together and everything together. And when we decide that we're going to attack our day, and attack our email is probably one of the worst ones, when it comes in, it's a laundry list. It's, hey, can you look at these puppies? Would you want to be on my podcast? Can I be on your podcast? Did you get the contract? Have you reviewed this? Ooh, look at this vacation, right? All of those things are coming in, and we're not compartmentalizing them. Then it's the same as taking an item out of the dryer, folding it and walking it to the bedroom, coming back and getting a sock and taking it to the bedroom, and coming back and getting a towel and taking it to the linen closet. And we think that is the silliest thing that you could ever do, but we do it all day long. And it's very inefficient. It's not efficient at all. And as a result of that, this is where our time goes. It's not focused. And you know that when you get in a rhythm, you can do things twice as fast.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like the clothing is a great example. I feel like we know how to do it. We just fold. Like, I categorize, like, pants go here, socks go here,
Yep.
That stuff goes there. That is easier to put away. So, that's really great. Like, categorize all the different things you're doing, and really be able to figure out what days or for which thing. Like, for me, interviews on Thursday. For Jen, her coaching calls are on Wednesday. So being able to figure that stuff out is really important for people who want to keep following you on your journey and just see all the different work you're doing. Where are some good places we can go?
Yeah, well, you can find me any place at any place on social media at Jen Duplessis. You can find me there. And then my website is jenduplessis.com. And I know you'll have the links for that as well. But that's the best place to find me.
Well, Jen, we'll include all those in the show notes. Also throw on marcguberti.com/strategy. If you guys want a free call, see how I can help you start, grow, monetize your podcast, or decode YouTube. But once again, Jen, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure having you on Breakthrough Success.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great evening.
Jen, once again, thank you so much for joining me on that episode of Breakthrough Success. And thank you for listening to this episode as well. We have a really awesome episode for you coming up where you are going to learn how to make money with podcasting. Our next guest is an absolute pro at this. Podcasting is his full-time thing. It is what he does to make all the money, pay all the bills, all that stuff. So in the next episode, you will be hearing from a podcaster on how you can make a full-time income through podcasting. So anyway, that's today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you will leave a review for this episode if you enjoyed it, because all those reviews really do add up. And signing off, what I want you guys to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. This episode of Breakthrough Success was brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is your business's command center. The easy-to-use app powers your sales, operations, and customer service all in one place. Start a free trial or sign up today to receive 20% off your first 6 months over at getjobber.com/im/breakthrough.